Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Settle for More podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Wright, and I have designed this space for you. Yeah, you, the woman who is ready to walk out on her fears, step into her dreams, and own her power by shifting her mindset from feeling not enough to taking action and to becoming more than enough whilst settling for more. Well, hello there and Happy New Year. Of course, I can still say Happy New Year. It's the last day of January, so I think I'm just in time. I know it's been a while since I've done a recording and things just didn't go as planned. I was hoping 2021 would have been the year where I would have been recording every week and just getting things done, but that didn't happen. Between the highs and the lows and trying to really solidify what I truly wanted to talk about in 2021, the year just went by. And I have to tell you that 2021 for me was an interesting and unforgettable year. On September 20th, 2021, I lost my dad to COVID. It was one of the most surreal, heartbreaking, unimaginable experiences I've ever had. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Rest in peace, Daddy. And in addition to that, the organization that I've been serving in for the last 4 years did some structural changes, and in the restructuring, some of our roles were eliminated, and we were no longer employed to the organization. But I have to say that there's a silver lining to that. So it was just unexpected, and all this happened around me trying to remotely plan a funeral and execute it for Daddy, but all is well. And so as we move into 2022, I wanted to take a moment and just share some observations that I've been having as it relates to our dreams or goals, or just doing the things that we say we want to do, or having the things that we say we want to have. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I find that if we're not careful, we get caught up in a cycle. You know the cycle I'm talking about. It's that cycle where you have been talking down to yourself for a while. It's that space and that cycle where every word in your mind points out your flaws, your mistakes, to where you think you're going. It also tells you that you're crazy for wanting the things that you want. And if you don't have those things already, you'll never get them. It says, who are you to want these things? Yeah, a lot of us are plagued with negative self-talk. And what I know for sure is that it gets in your head, sometimes courtesy of previous experiences and negative input from people who don't mean you well. Or maybe sometimes we get into comparing ourselves with others. It could be the imposter syndrome. Whatever it is, once it's there, it plays the same song on repeat. You know how I have been watching those reels on Instagram, and if the song is catchy, I find that I sing it for days and days just out of the blues. Like, I think the one that is going on in my head now is she wanna bam bam. Ooh, she wanna G with the big boys. I don't even know what they're saying, and I sing it all the time. Till Joshua is even joining me now. Every time I go, she wanna bam bam, he goes, she wanna G with the big boys. So the negative self-talk operates in that way. It plays the same song over and over and over again on repeat. And as time goes by, it somehow seems to get worse. And you're retelling the same phrase or the same thing to yourself over and over and over again. In those moments, what happens is your dreams stall out and you find yourself doing very little. It is time, self leaders, it is time, CEOs. It is time for you to take your life back and end the negative self talk once and for all. So, in this episode, I want to share with you a few tips that you can start implementing so that you can get that voice out of your head, the one that is telling you you're not good enough, smart enough, ready enough, pretty enough, the ones that allows you to question your competence, the ones that really shatters your confidence. It is time. And so the first tip I want to offer you is just to become still and practice stillness or mindfulness, because the truth is you're not able to combat anything when you're overly emotion or overwhelmed mentally. So breathing has been one of those things that I've been practicing. I'm actually a part of a group on Clubhouse that gives me notification 5 times a day for only 5 minutes called Pause, Breathe, and Reflect. And so I'd like to offer you to, if you find that the negative self-talk is ruining your day or stealing your confidence, find a quiet place, sit down and take a few deep breaths. If you can meditate, do so. Or try a mindfulness exercise until you can reach that peaceful place internally. And one of the breathing exercise that I've found to be quite useful is breathing in for 5, holding for 5, then releasing for 5. So I want to offer that to you the next time that voice creeps up. I'd like to also offer that you observe your thoughts. Don't try to avoid the negative thoughts, but observe them. Listen to what it's saying to you. What area or aspect of your life is it informing? Because there is a lesson there for us to learn. Whose voice does it sound like? So you may want to start thinking, this sounds like the voice of a teacher I had back in elementary school. This sounds like the voice of a bully that I've encountered. This sounds like the voice of a mean boss that I had. This sounds like the voice of my mom or my dad or my aunt or an ex. What is it saying? And whose voice does it sound like? I want you to go a little bit deeper with my third tip, and that is to explore the root cause. So ask yourself, what is this thought representing? Where did it come from? Is this probably from an expectation that you put on yourself at some point, or does it come from someone else entirely? So where is it coming from? Interesting, right? I'd like to offer that as you go through the process, that you get into the habit of getting rid of or dropping unreasonable expectations. Sometimes we try so hard to be perfect. And sometimes the expectations that we place upon ourselves are not realistic. So if you find that you're in that space and you're recognizing that your expectations are not realistic, ask yourself, is there a more reasonable expectation that you can put on yourself in place of this negative thought that you may be having? The next tip I want to offer you is to turn it around a little bit. what could be the positive counterpoint to this thought? So, for example, you may be thinking, oh my God, I'm so bad with money. Remind yourself of a time when you saved for something and you actually got it. Or think about a time when you had a goal to pay off a debt and you did it and how you felt after. It is time to start turning those negative self-talk around. Right? We want to change the dial a little bit. We want to change the narrative on that. We want to change the feeling. And then in doing that, we start to create a habit. So if this thought comes around often, what is the new belief you want to replace it with? And how can you make the new belief a habit? So think about this for a moment. The more you react in a new way to an old stimulus, the quicker a pattern is formed and the old reaction disappears. Right? So we want to start creating that habit. And the last tip I want to offer you is to commit to yourself that this is something you are going to be working on. You recognize that you are so much more than these negative thoughts. So I'd like to offer that you make a commitment to yourself to stop it. It's the only way to get rid of the negative thoughts. It's the only way to ensure that you're working through the processes that I just shared. Make that commitment to put a halt to it consciously and intentionally. And once you've gone through the steps that I outlined, just to recap, you want to practice stillness, observe the thoughts, explore the root cause, release any unreasonable expectations, turn it around. So we're going to be replacing that. In doing that, we're creating a habit. Once you start to implement these steps, tell yourself to pause, to stop when the idea comes up again and keep telling you that you're not worthy, you're not good enough. Remind yourself that it is time to completely stop until it starts disappearing. So here's something that I know for sure, that you really don't have to listen to negativity. It is a choice. But sometimes it becomes so entrenched in your mind that you may have trouble just dislodging it yourself. So when this happens, don't be afraid to ask for help. And this could be from a trusted friend. It could be from a counselor, from a coach. It could be from someone who is able to hold you accountable. So you may be a part of an online community, or you may have a circle of friends that you can relate to. Let them know that I'm working on this. I'm working on elevating and raising my self-esteem. I'm working on taking my life back. I'm working on taking my confidence back. So if you hear me speaking negatively to myself, about myself, I'm going to ask that you pause me up a little bit, breaks up, as we'd say in Jamaica, and let me know, hey girl, that's not serving you. Because when you choose to end negative self-talk, you are in fact settling for more. We'll talk soon.